Hi everyone, my name is Mevish and I'll be the host for Leaders Fluent's brand new series, INTERNviews. For our second episode, we're joined by Natasha Chen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Natasha here is an AFM student at Waterloo. She was also an assurance co-op at Ernst & Young, and today she's going to talk to us about her experience there. Before we begin, Natasha, do you want to talk to us a little bit about your professional goals following the completion of your undergrad?
Yeah, of course. So I chose to go to the University of Waterloo in the Accounting and Financial Management program just because I really want to become a CPA. In order to complete my CPA designation, I need several months of work experience. I need to fulfill some CPA modules. And then the CPA program or the AFM program at Waterloo has a really great route to get that CPA designation. So I'm hoping to get that within a year after I graduate from undergrad upon completing an 8-month master program at the University of Waterloo and hopefully complete my final exam in the following September. I'll do a few more months of work experience after that, and then hopefully everything goes well, I'll get my CPA designation. Of course, the road is always open and I'm looking for other opportunities to complete as well while I'm doing my CPA designation. So that's what I have planned for now, but we'll see whatever comes along the way.
Okay, that sounds great. So how did you find out about this opportunity to be an assurance co-op? Did you use any school resources?
Yeah, exactly. So at the University of Waterloo, the Accounting and Financial Management program is a co-op program. So you have to be in a co-op stream or else you can't really be in the program. So I talked to a lot of current students and I was in high school. So when I was applying to university, I was like, I really want to get my CPA designation. I want to see what other people are doing right now and kind of follow a similar route in the future. And so that's what I did. I talked to them and I found out about these big 4 accounting firms. And I was like, well, these are really great opportunities. I kind of want to go behind the scenes and become an auditor for my co-op terms, at least one of them, try it out. So that's what I did. A year before my first co-op term, I applied for a summer conference program. I can talk a little bit more about this one later, but I applied early. I did my interviews, I did my applications. I talked to other people who are currently in the role, and I just wanted to reach out and get these opportunities as soon as I could. And I was successful, and that's how I got the position. It all went across like pretty quickly, and it was a really enjoyable ride, but I'm really glad that I went for it.
That sounds awesome. So do you think large virtual networking events are useful?
Yeah, for sure. So I was lucky enough to have completed most of my networking for my position at EY in person, as I started undergrad in 2019. So I had a few months there before COVID started. But to be fair, I did not stop networking after I got my position, because networking doesn't just stop when you get a job. It's all about making connections, finding new people that you can connect with, and they can become handy in the future, even if you're not looking for jobs and you just want to get to know the community, the industry, especially if you don't know anybody in it so far. So I think virtual networking is still as great as in-person networking. It's just a little bit different. We're changing the rules around. But always great to get to know more people. You're still going to do the same thing, connect with them after you call, and really follow up if there's any opportunities that arise that they bring up, or maybe you can help them out in the future. So yeah, networking is always good just to find more connections and gain more of like a personal brand in the industry.
Okay. So what at Ernst & Young, what really stood out to you?
I think EY specifically, I had a really good opportunity in my first term of first year. I participated in something called the EY Challenge. So it's basically a huge case competition that a lot of schools across Canada take a part of, and the campus recruiting team takes turns going to every university. And for me, I had a team of 4 people, and we happened to win at the University of Waterloo level. So we got the first place over there, and we advanced to the national level the following, I think, February, like right before COVID had been. So I still had the opportunity to travel downtown. EY paid for our stay and like fully accommodated our time in Toronto for a few days to compete in this like national challenge. I met people from universities all over Canada, and I really got to network with people who worked at EY because I was literally in the EY tower for a few days. And that was a really great opportunity. I love the people, they were so friendly. I got to meet some people who were in roles that I really wanted to work in, and I ended up working in after all. And this was just a wonderful opportunity to see how like how great the culture is at EY. And that's why I applied to EY and ended up accepting my my offer for my first co-op term there. And I'm also returning back this coming January. So I definitely had a great term and I still stand by EY.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So,
Thank you.
what was the application process like? Can you walk me through it?
Yeah, so I told you before, so as I mentioned just like a few minutes ago, I applied through something called the Experience EY program. So it wasn't actually a job position, or I'd say like an internship that I applied to directly. This conference, essentially, once you get into the conference, you secure a internship or a co-op position in the following year. So that's what I did. I applied, I think it was February. Oh, no, I was actually pretty late. I think maybe February, March of that year. So my second term of first year. And it was very much similar to any job opportunity: resume, cover letter, of course, my grades go in there as well. And then EY had another component. It was like a one-shot video kind of component. So they give you 2 minutes to speak. Once you speak about a certain topic they provide to you, it gets sent in right away, and that's part of your application. And once that was sent in, I waited a few days, got my interview, I guess, request. And then my interview process was 2 30-minute interviews back to back. And one was with a manager, one was with a partner. It was really nice. It wasn't too intimidating once I started, but I know I was preparing a lot beforehand because it was a bit stressful. And then once that was through, I got my offer maybe a few weeks after, and that's when I signed. And I was really lucky because my co-op term was the following January. So I signed almost less than a year earlier, which was really nice because I didn't have to apply later on and didn't have to stress about it. So I was really glad that the process went through well.
That's really interesting. So I have like a really important question now. Do you think participating in extracurricular activities is that essential when it comes to securing an internship?
I think do what you like to do. For me, I entered first year and it was kind of intimidating, especially on campus. You see a lot of different people. You don't know which opportunities you should reach out to, which clubs are fitting. But I wanted to choose clubs that were both interesting to me and something that could help build on my skills. And so that's what I did. I joined maybe a little too many clubs. I joined quite a handful, but I was all interested in them, and it never seemed tolling on my daily schedule as long as I still had time to schedule, like time to study, time to hang out with friends, time to do extracurriculars and still breathe every single day. It was a good schedule I had out. So I think extracurriculars are good, especially if you're going to choose those that are related to a field that you want to enter. First of all, there are already students in the club who are most likely upper year students who maybe have worked in positions that you want to be in the future. So that's where the networking component comes back into the picture. And networking doesn't just stop at networking circles or just like a career fairs. It's always going to be around you, especially since you're in university and you're in programs where other people are probably on a similar career route as you are. So I think extracurriculars are good for building a network with upper year students who are at companies who you're currently at. And they're also really good for building skills, like especially experiential learning skills or just skills to become more organized or take more leadership in your community. And I think it's also good because you want to step outside of your comfort zone in a way. I know I was a little bit introverted, a little bit unsure, a little bit shy at the beginning of my university career, but I want to step outside my comfort zone and really challenge myself to explore new things that I haven't really heard of or explored in high school. So in essence, yes, I would recommend extracurricular activities and just push yourself outside of your comfort zone, and you'll be surprised by how wonderful the experience may be.
Okay, thank you. So for your co-op term this year, was it completely online or were you attending in person as well?
Yeah, so it's completely online. It was really interesting. I just got my laptop sent to me, and then at the end of the term, I sent it back to them and I didn't see anybody.
Okay, so how did you manage that? Was it difficult when it came to understanding specific tasks?
I think at first it's very intimidating because as an intern or a co-op student, you're really hesitant to ask questions to your managers because you don't want to come off as too bothersome, especially since everybody is so busy with their daily lives. My team was especially like really friendly. My engagement team was quite big, I think 40 or 50 people in general, but I had a few points of contacts that were assigned to me that I could ask questions to very often, and those were full-time staff. Additionally, there are some co-op students who are a year or two older than me who I knew in my program. So that was a little bit more comforting because I could just ask them questions all the time, even though it was so intimidating in a virtual environment. Of course, I struggled at times because if you think about it, you're starting a job just by opening your laptop. You haven't really walked into an office. You haven't had things explained to you essentially from the beginning. You kind of have to figure everything out to get like yourself. So there were lots of questions and I did get a little bit confused along the way, but I always found resources to help me get back on track.
So can you walk me through what your day looks like?
Yeah, so my day, I think it varies day to day. I usually start around 9 o'clock because we have people located in Toronto and some people in Vancouver. So it's like a good time to start. I usually start the day off by messaging my senior, who is basically leading the engagement along with 2 other seniors. But the one that was assigned to me was leading the engagement, and I'll just message her every day just to make sure if there are any updates that she'd like to tell me, or if there's anything I want to bring up in sort of concerns of work I was working on last night. And she can also help me like prioritize the tasks that I have later today. If something comes up, she'll be like, hey, this is more important, like do this right now and we can focus on the other things later on in the day. But at the beginning of the term and beginning of the engagement, I was essentially given a list of items that I'd be working through my entire term. And that's what I did. I would work through those on a day-to-day basis. And of course, my senior would tell me what is more important. I won't get into the details of what the tasks look like, but think of it like going through like assignments, I guess, in a school year. Maybe they're not like specific deadlines for certain dates, but there are different topics that you kind of just jump around and work on a little bit at a time when the time is right. And once one section is done, I can kind of hand it in to my seniors or people above me who will then check over it and come back to me for like giving me advice or just edit it a little bit. And it's like a very much back and forth process. Additionally, sometimes I will be sending out emails or talking or joining calls with clients really to ask some information from them. And just a lot of emails, lots of Microsoft Teams, and lots of time on Excel. So those are basically the things I would do every day. The times that I'd be working were starting at 9 a.m. Sometimes it'd end later on in the evening, especially since I was working during the audit busy season. So I just need to get some tasks done during the day. And that was essentially my day. It really does vary. So I can't give you like a set, like this time I'm going out to do this time I'm calling this. But yeah, it was a really, I guess, self-organized. So I would do the things that I need to do during the day and I would just message people if I need any help.
That sounds great. So were you provided with any training? How long was the training for you?
Yeah, now I can't remember exactly how many days I had training for, but I remember there was at least 1 week. There might have been a second week that was just on and off training, but the first week was purely training. I hadn't met my team yet. It was just me with a bunch of different co-op students and maybe interns from different universities, even across Canada, which was interesting. So I'm located in the GTA, but I had people on the call in Nova Scotia and PEI just calling in for training. So I guess that's one good thing about the remote environment is everyone can be trained together. And we were just in a call every single day for a few hours going over some internal, I guess, structures, how to navigate around the EY website, how to find resources that we needed to, how to do things like send emails or like understand the administrative space that would be essentially living in because there is no in-person component in like trying to find rooms or anything. That was really helpful because we had little rooms too, so we could talk to current staff and ask them any questions and calm our nerves before we actually start working with our client engagement teams and actually doing real work. So that was really nice. It was really comforting and it was really great precedent to starting on the client side of the engagement. After that first week of general training, I had another few days of training for the specific section I was in. So in audit, there's like different sections you can work in. For me, I was working in the financial services group. So there was a little bit more training specifically for my section, and then a little bit more training one-on-one with the seniors on my team for the specific client I was on. So lots of training. EY does a really great job of setting up time and making sure that we're equipped to do the job that we need to get done in a very timely manner, or like really great quality. So I didn't feel like I was completely stressed out, even though the first days felt really intimidating. Everything started to fit into place one by one.
So how often did you receive constructive feedback from your seniors?
I think for me, I like to ask for constructive criticism anytime that I feel like it's right. I think during some busy times, I wouldn't be just messaging my senior when we have a timeline coming around the corner, but I would message her often like, hey, like, is there anything else that I could be doing to help you out a bit better? Is there anything I can be doing to make your life easier? Because as a senior, they're so busy overseeing the engagement. And as a co-op student, maybe I could help with a few more administrative tasks or things that are a bit easier or more like time constraining, but don't require her time. I could do it for her. So I think things like that, just always asking for feedback was something that I strive to do. I even did it maybe on a weekly basis. And thinking back now, yeah, I just like to ask for feedback as much as I can to make her life easier. But I did receive like feedback whenever I asked for it, and a more formal feedback I received at the end of the term, and I think at the middle of the term too, is just part of the protocol per the school policy I had, because I'm in a co-op program. So the university kind of regulates everything that I do during my co-op time. And they told me to go reach out for more formal feedback in the midterm points, and then a like final like written out report for my senior at the end of term. So I did get more verbal, informal feedback on a very regular basis, but in terms of formal feedback, midpoints and end of term.
Okay. How did this co-op term help you grow? What valuable skills have you gained?
Oh, that just opens up a whole can of worms. I think there were a lot of things, because this was my first job. Well, I would say it's my first corporate job, really my first look into what I'd be doing in the future. I've done a few like part-time things on the side, but they don't really reflect my future as a CPA, as an accountant, or someone working in finance. So I gained a lot of perspective, if that counts. I think that counts, because it's just because my background, like my parents don't come from a field that I will be entering. So this is somewhere where I started to grow myself and really gain my own connections and gain an insight of what to be expecting in the future. In terms of actual like tangible skills, I think, yes, my technical skills have definitely sharpened a bit more, because I've really worked in an accounting job. I know the numbers a bit better. I know what each of the sheets actually mean, the financial statements actually mean, instead of just reading it from a textbook and trying to make the connections myself. That was really interesting. I think from a soft skills perspective, I gained a lot of time management, organizational skills, and communication skills, because in a virtual environment, I need to make sure that I was communicating well with my senior and the rest of the people on my team, to make sure that although they can't see me and they aren't sitting in the same room as I am, they know what I'm doing on a daily basis. And I know how to reach out for help and to sound professional and to come off as like someone who's willing to help and like actually showing that I'm genuine when I'm typing, which is very difficult than sitting in a room and just being very genuine and like kind of radiating your personality in person is very different than writing out in person. So being careful of the way I wrote my emails and writing messages were things that I gained, because I didn't have to think about that before in a pre-COVID environment. You just like walk into a room and like be yourself, right? But when you're writing messages and emails, it's really hard to write things in a proper way, or to come across in a way that reflects your true personality. So those are, I guess, some of the skills that I gained during my co-op term.
Okay, so you mentioned that sometimes your days would end later on in the evening. So how did you find that work-life balance?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if you've talked to people who work in the busy season in accounting, it is harder to maintain that work-life balance, because everybody is so driven, especially at EY. Everybody was just so positive, driven, and really optimistic about working. So I think when I see my manager still working really late at night, I'm like, yeah, like I could still work a bit more, and like I like my job, so it's not like I'm dreading to stay on for a few more hours, right? But my seniors and managers were like, hey guys, like take a few hours in the evening, like make sure you're eating your lunches and your dinners and you're getting your exercise in. One really great thing about EY is they provided a fitness benefit for us. So they gave us a few $100s. We could purchase any like fitness equipment and they would reimburse us for that amount. So I made sure to put this treadmill that I bought to good use by exercising for at least like try to run for 10 minutes every night. And 10 minutes doesn't sound like a lot at first, but it builds momentum. Like you can spend 10 minutes scrolling social media after you log off from work, or you can go run for a little bit. So I think that was something that I put into my mind. I was like, I need to make sure this goes to good use. And I made sure to do that every night for at least 10 minutes. And then another thing is just keeping yourself accountable with other people on your team or even friends. So I had a neighbor in first year. She was my, like we grew pretty close together, and we happened to be on the same client team at EY. So like we message each other, make sure that we're still logging off at good amount of times and like keeping each other accountable, seeing if we can help out each other wherever possible. So I think having an accountability partner was something that really helped me for work and for just like staying sane outside of work hours.
Okay, that sounds really great. So do you have any tips on how to stand out from other applicants?
Honestly, just be yourself. I think that sometimes is just overused. And when I first heard that, I was like, I am myself. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to be myself anymore once you think about it too hard. Be yourself. Like every person's personality is different. You want to be someone who's like enthusiastic to learn, and like you come off as somebody who can be of value to the firm, who is willing to take on more work, who is willing to learn from the work that they're doing, and really just be enthusiastic about the opportunity you've been provided. I think that was very much my mentality in first year. Just feel like I really do want this job because I really want to learn from what it's like to be an auditor and to see the financial statements from another point of view that you don't really learn about in first year at that point, like in terms of audit. So I think be yourself. Of course, smile, like be somebody who is approachable, and just show that you're there to learn and you're not there to just like get something on your resume and move on, because that's maybe like the last thing that makes you a really good candidate, is just to have something on your resume. So just make sure you come off as genuine, smile, and just be yourself.
That's great advice. All right, I'm afraid our time is up. That brings us to the end of our second episode of Interviews. Thank you so much, Natasha, for taking the time to join us today. Your insights were amazing, and I'm sure the Leaders Fund community will leverage them.
Thank you so much for having me, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I think maybe we'll link some social media accounts below, but best of luck on your internship searches if you're on that grind right now. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Bye.
I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, as well as keeping up with our other social medias. You can find Leaders Fund on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Leaders Fund.